and I see your true colors shining through. Fuck, I'm still fucking sick. This is episode 11.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Yeah, so I'm still fucking sick. I've been sick for like a week or like a week and a half. I blame Irish Goodwin because we went up to the studio to record Ouija Shark, and she keeps like fucking grabbing my vape because I quit smoking like maybe 3 years ago, but I've been vaping now, and she just feels like, hey, I'll just take his vape and I'll whatever. But as soon as we got back from the studio, she's like, she texted me with like a mask on, and she's like, yeah, I have strep throat, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And I started feeling this weird shit in the back of my throat, and then I got full-blown sick, and then it was awful. But the worst part about it is that I had that show, as you guys know, at Lola's in Cornwall on Saturday night. I barely got through it, but because I'm a fucking professional, I made it happen. So, and it was good. I'd like to thank Scott from Lola's out in Cornwall, Lola's Pub and Grub, for a great night. That place was packed. I'd like to thank the Armstrongs for coming out. It was a lot of fun. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on coming up in the future, which I've touched on before, but I mean, I'm not going to waste too much time on that. So if I sound like a fucking dirty crack whore, it's because I'm still sick. So lucky, oh, fucking Jesus Christ. The best thing about that is that I don't have to talk all night by myself, because I'd probably burn out pretty quick, because I have a guest in the house tonight. Mr. Matt Luloff is here. Fellow bandmate, really good friend of mine, entrepreneur of the world, and or the Canadian government, and or the Canadian music scene. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
I'm sick. Fuck, you didn't hear the intro?
No, I did hear the intro, and I did see you last Thursday when you were also sick.
Oh, yeah, I went to band practice.
This has been going on for a while.
I know. I might have to go see a doctor. Actually, I'm waiting for a call from my... I'm supposed to go do an ultrasound on my stomach because I have some stomach issues.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be like a week ago, and they still haven't called me. So maybe maybe they just decided that I'm not worth it.
Tummy stuff is way better than bum stuff. I'm glad it's not bum stuff.
Well, you know,
tummy stuff causes bum stuff, I guess. But
yeah, well, I'm getting to that age where I might have to do the bum stuff soon, but not yet. So. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
Oh, it's super sweet that you are here. It's the beauty of the podcast that since I've kind of started it is that I could have just crack it open, crack that bitch. Is that I can have people from the Ottawa music scene, but I can also have my good friends here to sit in and pick their brain because Eric Worley was here last week.
What a wonderful gentleman.
I know. I've known that guy for like 15 years, and he was talking about stuff, and I was like, really? I didn't know that about you.
I actually learned quite a bit about Eric Worley as well.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. And I've said before, like everybody kind of has a story, and it's really neat to hear. It's neat to hear, you know, the other people's stories. So Matt Luloff, sir, I have known you for, oh God, it must be about 7 or 8 years now.
Yep.
At least. First time I met you was because Jason Watts,
yep,
who is the drummer in Hearts and Minds, who used to be the drummer in Our Mistake, started hanging out with you, and you guys started a band called Hearts and Minds.
That's right.
And that's really jumping ahead. Matt is a local musician, guitar, vocalist, now a sound engineer or producer. We'll see how she goes.
That's true.
But where did you start your musical career? And I'll always start an interview the same way. Are you from Ottawa?
I am from Ottawa. I did grow up here in Ottawa. I grew up in Orleans, actually, and that's where I first started playing music. I guess it was high school.
Okay.
Early high school. I'd say like grade 10. And my cousin was playing bass with a bunch of guys that were from Gloucester High School. And they said they really needed a singer because the rest of the guys were awful at singing. I'd never been in a band before, but I love music. I had like the biggest like tape collection,
Cassette collection?
Oh yeah, I had so many
nice.
cassettes. I'd like one of those ones that they're a little offset, but honestly, like if you were to like draw it out a little bit more, they probably look like swastikas, which is not good. But those like little like towers, those tape towers that you could like spin around, and you had 4 sides of tapes.
I used to get those for Christmas, like the cassette towers. Remember they had that little, they'd be like standing, but they'd be slightly angled to the back so the tapes wouldn't fall out, and you'd have that little plastic door and you could open up and there would be all your like Def Leppard and your that was in my tape tower.
I had lots of Phil Collins in there and a little Biggie Smalls and but mostly Phil Collins, I think, back then. I was a huge fan.
So you started as a vocalist?
I did, yeah. I started just singing. So I went over and tried out for this group, and my first mic stand was one of those like basement poles with this awful like plastic computer microphone like taped to it. So I had to like stand in front of this pole. It was not cool at all, and sing at this plastic microphone taped to a pole. The band. Progressed. We jammed a couple more Saturdays, and we decided that we wanted to put something together. So the first thing that we did was we kicked my cousin out of the band because he was a really bad bassist. He's a really great guy, but he's just not a very good bassist. And then we hired another guy that wasn't a great bassist either, who ended up becoming my best friend. Greg.
You hired him. You had a contract. You're paying money to this son of a bitch.
They did make me call him, and which kind of should have set off some red flags, I guess, because I didn't really know him. I was the only person in the band that didn't know him, but they made me call him and get him to come in. So he joined, and we called ourselves Federal Blue.
Okay. It
was the name of a color at the Walmart paint desk.
Oh, very good.
Yep. 2 of the guys worked at Walmart. And so we tried out for the CKDJ Battle of the Bands.
That's a great start as the Battle of the Bands. I have a lot of great memories of said Battle of Bands wherever they came. So, sorry.
CKDJ gave us our first start, right? So we went and we played 3 songs. It was punk music, so they were short songs. 3 songs at Babylon. So it's pretty cool. We were 14 years old, going into Babylon. Got himself a sarsaparilla pop.
Sarsaparilla?
A little sarsaparilla.
Yeah.
Got a little sugar high. Got up on stage. Nervous as hell. Like absolutely ridiculously nervous. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Like I'm not like a doo-wop singer or anything. So I just remember.
Are you sure?
Oh, well, now I could probably do it. But back then, all I can remember doing is grabbing the seams on my pants as hard as I could. And just like standing there like a statue and just belting it out. I gave a good vocal performance, but I looked like a absolute nervous wreck.
That's less awkward than standing up there with your hands in your pockets.
Yes.
Do you ever see guys like say you're going to a wedding or something like that, and it's like people are used to wearing like jeans and t-shirt, and as soon as they put on a suit, hands go in the pockets
Immediately.
Okay.
Immediately.
So as long as you were like grasping at some fabric and you didn't actually have your hands disappeared in the pocket.
I wasn't like full on best man speech in it, but yeah, I was grabbing onto those things like I was like they were going to fall down.
And how'd it go?
Really well. So they chose us. We ended up being in the top three bands
of your first band wars. Your first band wars.
Oh. So then they did it. They did like a radio competition. So I did get a little ahead of myself. They did a radio competition to pick who they liked the most. And they recorded us all live off the floor. We came in 3rd place. We didn't even have like a lot of friends to do this. This was like a real organic 3rd place, which is pretty good because we were pretty bad. Bad.
What did you play though? Was it cover songs? Or
nope.
It was all original stuff? Okay.
Yeah, we wrote our own music, punk music. I wrote the lyrics and sang. And this guy Keith Charlebois played guitar. Graham Parker played bass. And my buddy Chris Manor played guitar as well. And then Mark Johnson played drums.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so then we did the big finals at Barrymore's. We got to play Barrymore's. We were 15 years old.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
15.
that was the big room back in the
It
day,
was
right?
really
Yeah,
big.
yeah.
We played with Treebeard.
Uh-huh.
And
that rings a bell.
yeah, they were something. They were a good Ottawa band back in the day. And there was one other band, I cannot remember their name. They were a bunch of old people. But Treebeard won it, and we came in third place. So we got to record at Distortion Studios.
Oh fuck! Back in the big day of
Live off the
back in
floor.
the day of the big studios.
And Terry's Crescent.
Oh Jesus
Yeah,
Christ!
it was pretty crazy. Alanis Morissette recorded there.
The
so it was pretty cool.
first thing I ever recorded in Ottawa at a big studio was The Sound of One Hand. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in kind of the industrial area of Ottawa.
There's actually a sound of one hand.
Oh, that's that. Yeah, okay. Or it's the snaps now. Like you don't.
You don't, yeah. You don't
snap,
appreciate
snap.
poetry too loud.
If
but
you live
yeah.
in Westboro and you go see like a play, you have to snap.
Really?
No,
That's 'cause you
I have
scare
nothing.
them.
I have nothing to back that up. I'm just giving my girlfriend shit because she lives there.
I think anything louder than a snap scares the hipsters. So
Jesus Christ.
you're dying.
Yeah, I'm dying. I'm sick. I told you guys. I accidentally fell into a band too. Did you mean to be a singer in a band? Because
No.
when I started, I didn't even want to be in a band.
Oh, I definitely wanted to be in a band, but I had no idea how the hell I was going to get there.
I was just a kid, and I remember my buddy bought a drum kit off his other buddy. He had no cymbals. It was just cans and like whatever. And one of my other friends played guitar, and we plugged it into like his mom's amp we had.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Can I play the drums?" And he's like, "They're my drums." I'm like, "Well, what am I gonna do?" He's like, "You can sing." I'm like, "I can." I sure couldn't. But that
You figured it out since, though.
That was the start of my career. So yeah, I guess that's a weird kind of parallel there.
I did sing out of a guitar amp for the entirety of the first band. Yeah.
Well, hey man, that is a little distorted, a little
Univox.
crackly until it exploded.
Yeah, an old Univox from like 1960.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that band, I guess that's where you started. That's where you got kind of your feet wet. You kind of got the taste, and you said, "Hey, I want to keep doing this." Or what happened?
I did, but we didn't last very long. We played for about 4 years and then broke up. And then I fell out of it for a little bit. I was a lifeguard in Orleans for a long time at the Raphael Center, and I met up with another buddy. I can't remember how I met Jared, but I just got along with the guy real well, and we started a new band with Mike Raymond, who's in an amazing Ottawa band called Quiet Crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I had, those guys from Quiet Crimes have Mike then, but I had Mike first,
There you go.
Yeah, he was great.
You broke him in.
Yeah, no, he was
He was
fantastic.
mine before he was yours.
He played guitar. It was his first band that he played guitar in, because I think he also played. He also plays drums. So he was the first band that he was in. I think he played drums.
So you were the singer in this second band too?
Yeah, I didn't play guitar either in that one. Mike Brea played guitar. This guy, Mike Brea. He was in a bunch of Ottawa bands. I'm not quite sure what he's up to now, but yeah.
So where did the guitar playing come from? Did you just decide one day to stop clutching your pants, stop clutching your trousers?
I had to figure out what I was going to do with my hands, really. That's like what started it off. And I was writing songs and like writing melodies, but didn't know how to like write music along with it. I could write notation from like learning in music class how to write notation. Mm-hmm. It's not really like, can't really accompany yourself with a pencil. So my dad bought me my first Samick acoustic guitar.
Right.
And I started writing in my dad's basement. Some of the songs would become later Hearts and Mind songs from the first record. But started writing, like actually writing. I never really learned how to play covers at all. Yeah. I learned chords and then started writing.
So you're a self-taught guitar. You just kind of picked it
yeah.
up and just banged away at it, and
That's right.
eventually got to where you are. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
not-
like I started by like watching other people play.
Yeah.
Like, that's what a power chord looks like. This is what like G and C looks like. And
Cool. I'm the same. Yeah. I started as a singer, but a guitar player that was in my band when I was a kid, he was just like, I said, I used to just pick up his guitar and just kind of like hit that note. Everyone starts playing guitar the same way, where the hand is like a fucking twisted crab and you're like blong, blong, blong.
And you're trying to play Come As You Are.
Sure. And then it eventually just slowly gets a little bit smoother and smoother. It never really gets good.
No.
It just gets better than when you started.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So, okay.
I can play guitar, like I can play like really bad guitar very well, Like I'm very convincing.
Man, you're preaching to the choir.
I'm
over
convincing. People are like, "Oh, you're a great guitar player." And I'm like, no one has ever accused me of that.
So once the guitar was in your hands and you kind of got through those awkward crab-like hand periods, obviously you could sing. Obviously you wanted to be in a band. Obviously you were a music lover from when you were younger. Let's backtrack a bit too. When you were a kid,
Yeah.
what did you said Phil Collins and Genesis. Was that what you remember from being young for music?
No, I mean, like, I think that, like, up until about, like, 1992, I think I was really big into, like, Huey Lewis and the News. I loved, like, Boston. And, of course, like, my first love was Phil. Like, I love Phil Collins, and I love, Phil Collins' Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fan. And then I think, like, the big, like, turning point for me was I saw a Green Day, like the first like Green Day single that got a video from like Kerplunk, like 10,000 Light Years Away, like the video for it on Much Music.
Oh, even before Dookie.
Even before the Dookie.
Oh, good for you.
I heard that and I was like, I've never heard anything that sounds like that. And when I first started with Federal Blue, the way that we jammed was our drummer had like a stereo behind him, and he'd plug his headphones in and he'd put Dookie on and he'd play from start to finish, and we would all play along with him. Like we played Dookie every day, like with him, like with the headphones in, like playing along with it, right?
Yeah.
And so like it was a super formative moment for me. I saw that and I was like, this is the most amazing music I've ever heard in my life. And I like bugged my dad, and he finally picked me up a tape for Christmas. And
the beauty of that music is when you were a kid, when like Green Day and Dookie blew up, it was that, yeah, sure, you liked Boston and you liked Genesis and Phil Collins, but when Green Day dropped, it was just like,
yo, they kicked the door open.
I can play this.
Yeah, that's so true.
They're like, I'm gonna count the chords. There's 1, there's 2. Oh, that's it.
Yeah, like 2,000 Light Years Away, it was like
yeah.
da na 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 na.
It was very accessible. It was very easy to do. And the first time I remember, I kind of feel like I'm in the same sort of boat. The first time I played just an easy 3-chord punk song, but it had that wonderful melody over the top of it, where it's like, you mean I don't have to go on the guitar? No. I can just like strum this shit and still make like a cool song or a good song or a catchy song.
Yeah,
that opened huge doors to me. It sounded like it did to you.
Oh, when someone explained to me what a rhythm guitarist was, I was like, oh my God, I can do this.
The difference between you and I in that aspect is that you got a lot better, and I stayed exactly where I...
No way. You learned how to play some lead stuff? I can't do that at all.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't even call it that. That's awful. That's a terrible thing. Thank you, though.
Oh, it's better than what I can do.
I appreciate it. You're good. No, I fucking anyway.
The only crazy wanky riff that I have in a Hearts and Mind song was written by Ryan, our old guitarist, and I just learned how to play it by watching him, Yeah, he's still pissed at me that I use it.
You take little things like that and you kind of not innovate, but you incorporate it into your own style, and you be like, yeah, maybe what if I did this and this and this and this?
I pretty much just ripped it straight off.
Some of my lead stuff, I was in a band in the 90s, and there was a guy who I still talk to, who I'm going to play on this podcast. He's in a band from Toronto called East Side West.
Sweet.
And he is a classically trained guitar player. He's like a jazz guitar player. And he played this solo that just did this weird hammer on like, and I still use that today in 2017 in Goat, because I only learned so much, but I've never branched far from that. Anyway,
we definitely hang on to like the little guitar tropes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I play it a little better, but it's still the same thing.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
Anyway, so coming off your history of music, we're getting back to where we were. We digressed a little bit, yet it was still informative.
Of course.
So when you started playing guitar and you started writing songs,
well, yeah, I started writing songs when I was out of like in between bands or out of bands, and then after high school, I joined the Army, and I took my guitar with me, and I never stopped writing. And once I left the forces in 2009, I wanted to set up a band. Like I was really driven to do it, and I called up my buddy Grant McIntyre, who was in bands in my high school. Actually, to be honest with you, I called up his brother first. I called up Ryan and was like, hey, Ryan, do you want to come drum and maybe do some singing? And he was like, no, I'm working on something right now. So, see what Grant's up to. So I started with Grant.
What's Ryan's band called again?
Cast.
Or which? I'm sure he's in a few, because he's a...
Oh, he's in McLovin's, and Cast and Cadence is his like baby.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, great guy. And so I called up Grant and Grant was like, okay, well, I just came out of this band called Heroes Offer Her
Oh, Jesus Christ.
with this guy, Mike Matani, and Jason
me.
Watts.
Let me do a small backstory.
Please.
Because this podcast is about Matt. As I've touched on before, I was in a band called Our Mistake with Jason Watts, who is the drummer from Hearts and Minds.
It's like the 6 degrees of Jason Watts, really, this whole podcast.
Who totally is, right?
Yeah. Even with Eric Worley, it was like, and I met you through Jason Watts.
Who is the drummer for Hearts and Minds, the band that myself, Matt, Jay are in. I was in this band called Our Mistake. Jason was the drummer after Our Mistake broke up. Long story short, we had the Rebound band. You know, like you have a long-term girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
And immediately you break up with the girlfriend and you're like, well, yeah, I'm free. But then you immediately get a new girlfriend.
You got to.
Who's like, yeah, this is going to be so much better. But it's not.
You just want to show her to your old girlfriend. That's about it,
She's
right?
like the Rebound, and it like lasts a few months. That's what me and Jay did with this band called Heroes Offer Her.
Yeah.
We got Grant in because Jay knew him probably through the correspondence of what is all happening right now. And he came in and we played a couple of shows, and then that band kind of just fizzled out because the Rebound never really lasts.
Doesn't.
And then Jay disappeared, and I was really happy to have Jay after Our Mistake because
He's great.
Jay's like one of my best friends in the world, and he's an amazing drummer.
He's a wonderful man.
So I quit music. I was like, fuck it. And then next thing I knew, it probably wasn't the next day, but it was probably a few days later.
It didn't take very long.
I heard that you and Jay was playing with somebody, and that's when we first met.
That's right.
Yeah, so it was you, Jason,
Yep.
Grant McIntyre.
And Josh Drazilov.
Okay.
Josh Drazilov was
Was that a Rocky villain? What's going on here?
Man, so the how I got Josh to join our band, I just started going to Carlton, and I was drinking like pretty heavily at like the Carlton, like the like little tavern on
As one does.
Yep. And I stumbled outside into like the smoking section. I smoked back then.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this guy, and he like, honestly, he had like grungy jeans on. They were like super torn up. He had a Pearl Jam t-shirt on, and he like looked like Kurt Cobain basically, but like a brunette Kurt Cobain, and he had very wolfy eyes. Like he had very piercing blue eyes.
God damn.
And I looked at him, and this is no word of a lie. It sounds like it's like a homosexual Disney cartoon. But I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey, do you play guitar?" And he's like,
You want to play guitar for me?
he's like, "Yeah, I do. I do play guitar." I'm like, "You should be in my band." He's like, "You'd never even heard me play." I'm like, "How far is your house away?"
Oh my
He's like,
goodness.
"It's just over there." I'm like, "You want to play some guitar?" And he's like, "Yeah." And we stumbled back to his house and we just jammed for a while.
Really?
And there was no discussing it. Like I brought Josh to the next practice, and he was our lead guitarist.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And Hearts and Minds, when it first started, because I'm learning a little. Like, see, I didn't know that. You know, I've been in actual Hearts and Minds for like 4.5 years, but I don't.
You've been in Hearts and Minds for 5 years, and you've been in Hearts and Minds more. Like you've been there more than half the amount of time.
It'll be. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It'll be 5 years in the spring. In the spring.
You've been in Hearts and Minds for more than half the amount of time that Hearts and Minds has been a thing.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah. But anyway, my point is that I'm still learning because I don't know a ton about the actual inception, like where it all started. You've touched on it.
Yeah.
So you had your 4 guys.
I'm a 4 guys, and I had a book of songs that I'd written from like 1999 to, well, I guess at that time it was 2009. And there were ones that I really, really liked, and ones that I was really excited about, and ones that were new. Like Complicating Matters was the oldest one out of all of them for sure. And then, we had Sick, and when Grant wrote that bass line to Sick, and Jay and I were playing around, and that like haunting lead that Josh wrote that we threw down for the first time at...
which I still struggle with.
Oh, it's so super haunting.
And I've simplified to the point where it's not haunting anymore.
But it is familiar, and that's what matters.
Yeah, it's the notes, sort of.
It's there. People know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, once we played that song, it was like, shit, like, this could totally be a thing. And then...
Sick is a dope song, though.
It was the first one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it starts with like a
That's the very
cliche.
first Hearts and Minds song?
That was the first, like the first Dundee written.
God damn.
And then But I Won't after that. But we started with Sick.
Isn't that something? See?
But It Won't was like in the can and ready to go.
Yeah.
I had a demo of it recorded like properly with Keith, actually, who was in Federal Blue. Had it recorded and ready to go. But we started with Sick because we wanted to have an edge. We wanted to have an edgy.
Well, it kicks you in a bit of, kind of kicks you in a poo poo a little bit.
It's a bit of a scream. It's a little bit of it's an edgier song for sure.
Okay, so now we've touched on the genesis of Hearts and Minds.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick up with this in like 2 seconds, but we here on Ego and Vice always play local music, and we're gonna do that right now. We're gonna play a song. Is that cool?
Yeah, I love local music.
Okay, cool. We're gonna play a song from a band called Holy Christopher. Goat has played with this band. We played at the Rainbow once with them. Fucking super great band, and they're still continuing on. This is a song off their 2017 EP. It's called Extended Play. It's funny with this band because every time they have a release, if you go on Spotify or something, they're called something different. It's always Holy Christopher, but this song is called Mystics XP. And this one, I guess they released, it's called Holy Christopher and the Doctors. So let's check this out. Sounds pretty good.
Packed your bags and headed east. You took those things I wanted least. You turned your head and looked away. I said those things I had to say. I wanted it more. I'm saying I'll miss you. My bags and headed west. I took my shit, I wanted best. You turned your head and looked away. I said those things I had to say, but it's over now, and I fucking love it. I wanted it more. I'm saying I'll miss you.
So that was Holy Christopher and the Doctors, as it's posted on Bandcamp. From their 2017 EP Extended Play, that was Mystics XP. That band is Andrew, Summer, Dave, and Dan. They're an Ottawa band. They have a record label. It says it's Plain White Records. If you need to find them, you can go to Bandcamp. You can go to Facebook. You could probably go to Spotify, because who the fuck isn't on Spotify now? Give your music away for $9 a month. What the fuck? I'm sitting here with Matt Luloff. This is Ego and Vice, episode 11, and we have been talking about the inception of Hearts and Minds. Where we left off, I think you had a couple of guys in the band who aren't in the band anymore.
No, they're not.
All right, so what the fuck?
Well, we did the Big Money Shot, which you talked about last week when you were chatting with Eric.
Eric Worley.
We did the Big Money Shot competition, and we won the wild card. I think Jay Watts had a very heavy text bill that month, but we won the wild card. And we won $5,000, and so we went to see Brian Ruckstuhl back at his old place, Studio 169.
Studio 169.
And we recorded an album fueled by wine, and
Was that the name of the album, or was it actually fueled by wine?
it was actually fueled by wine, but
by the liquor, by the drink.
we called it Pictures on Silence
Oh yes, right.
because an artist, a painter paints pictures on canvas, but a musician paints pictures on silence.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
It was Josh's idea. I loved it.
Jesus Christ.
That was back when we had song names like Oribus tener lupum, which means to hold the wolf by its ears.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little raw. There was lots of Josh influence back then.
Well, you have to, express yourself.
Yeah. Poor Joshy's mom got really sick. And so he decided to move back to Oshawa. So we were left without a lead guitarist. And so I ended up having to take over all the guitar duties for a while. We played as a 4-piece. And then Grant, we decided to part ways because of a couple of different issues.
Mm-hmm.
Not here to air anybody's dirty laundry,
No,
at all, and myself included. And we parted ways.
Okay, wait.
We ended up having to play a show actually with no bassist, and I ended up having to play bass. We got stuck. Yeah, we had to play this gig in Toronto where we had just picked up this new guy Ryan to play lead guitar. We found him. What's that like band application? Where people like you can post your band.
Bandmix?
Yeah, that's the one. We posted on Bandmix.
Oh wow.
And this guy was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
MySpace?
It was like the MySpace. We had a MySpace. I think we probably still do. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. Who didn't?
But this guy really was into us, so we started playing. And then when Grant left, we had a gig booked in Toronto. So Jay and I would decide, well, we don't want to ditch our first gig in Toronto, but we made not a great impression. They did invite us back, which is great, and we're thankful for that. But we went down there, and Ryan and I traded bass like back and forth all night. I play guitar on one song, he played guitar on another song.
So it was just who was in the band at this time?
Just
you,
me,
Ryan, and Jay.
That's it.
Okay, sure. And when was this? Around 2000?
This was like 2011,
Okay.
I guess. So Hearts and Minds had been going strong for about 18 months, and then we were like stricken with a little bit of success, and we were falling apart. Like the wheels were falling off the bus. Literally, we had a bus, and the wheels were falling off it, and we had to pay a lot of money to get it fixed. But anyway,
That short blue bus.
the short
that you
blue
had.
bus, yeah,
That was parked in Jay's driveway for 2 years.
forever, yeah,
Rotting.
because it was falling apart.
Okay.
So I was working sound at the Rainbow at the time, and bartending at the Rainbow, and there was this like country cow punk, I think they called themselves, band playing, and this guy,
yeah.
cowpunk.
Sure.
Yeah, yep.
I
Why
do.
not, right?
I don't, but yes.
Yes, it's a genre.
Okay.
And this guy, Rob Hanlon, was playing bass for them. And so I had Rob come out and audition with the guys. And for some reason, Ryan didn't like him. So we put Rob on hold, and we searched forever to try and find a bassist, and we couldn't. So we had Rob in, and Rob played with us, and Ryan played with him begrudgingly for, just about a year. And then Ryan left the band, and then it was me, Jay, and
back to a 3-piece.
back to a 3-piece again.
Okay. You, Rob, and Jay.
And me, Rob, and Jay.
Okay.
And then we were like, okay, well, we really need a lead guitarist. Like, this is outrageous. Matt is awful. And we need to have somebody with some talent other than Jay holding down the drums, right? So then we get this note on Bandmix again from this like little skinny French guy with glasses. And he's like, hello. And I'm reading this, right?
Is that how you read it?
Yeah.
Hello.
I know you want some guitars, but have you ever thought of maybe pianos?
Some keyboard? ?
Let me know. So I write him back, and like I talked to Jay, and I was like,
That's
what
so
about
funny.
a piano player? Do you want to get a synth or piano guy? And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? So we try this guy out. He comes in. We're jamming in Eric Worley's basement.
Of course.
And he, as naturally as you do, and he comes in, and the kid knows like 5 of our songs already, and he's adapted them to the piano.
And when he says kid, he means it because he was like, what, 21 maybe?
Maybe. He was
Just
so young.
Fresh out of
compared to
his,
the
like,
rest of us.
yeah, his teens. Yeah, he's a young kid.
He looks like an adult now, which is good. He's grown into his body, which
Sure.
is really good, right? But he was a young guy, and he took his beatings. We made fun of him constantly, and now he's like a real,
And that was Michael.
That was Mikhail.
That was Mick.
Yeah, Mick.
Yeah. Who is still in the band today
He's
playing
amazing.
keyboards.
and writing and an integral part of our sound. Like he is a major part of our sound.
I think I remember seeing you guys when you didn't have keys in your band.
Yeah.
And you guys were great
Thanks.
because I was a fan before I was a member.
That's right.
And I used to come. I remember I went to when we touched on the Big Money Shot earlier. That was a local radio station, Live 88.5, had like a big band wars competition.
Yeah.
Where you could enter it and you would just like progress down the line and get bigger and bigger. And there was like huge in the early days. There was huge money involved.
Huge.
Yeah. So I saw you guys play at that church.
Yeah.
Or maybe Mick was in the band at that point.
He was by then.
Oh, he was then. Okay.
When we were doing Live Lounge, he wasn't yet.
Yeah.
And I think Mick was there for the whole Big Money Shot run, the second time around. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Okay, and the Big Money Shot was every year, so this is
Yeah.
the second entry or the third entry or something?
Yeah, our first year we won $5,000, and then with Ryan and Grant, and then the second year we went in as a 4-piece with Mick.
And the money of this competition at the time was to be used towards, you couldn't go out and buy hookers and Coke with it.
No.
Even though you wanted to. You had to spend it on bettering your band.
Yes.
Okay. So
So-
$5,000 one, and then you moved on again, entered it again.
That's right. $5,000. We went up to Jordan's at Rosny and recorded a full album. I paid for half of it out of my own pocket because we didn't have enough money left over from the competition. And then used that to launch us into the second round. And we got all the way into the finals on the second time
And you
around.
guys did really well.
Yeah, we won $45,000 second place.
45 fucking G's.
Yeah.
Still waiting to see that check.
No,
No,
we
it's spent. It's so spent.
We spent the whole thing.
Jordan Zadarozny is Skylark Park Studios in Pembroke.
What a guy.
Just fucking Google it and go book some time with the guy. He's the best.
He's the best. I love that guy.
Okay, so $45,000. What do you do?
$45,000. We record a song as part of the competition with Terry Brown, who produced some Matt Good and some Rush, lots of Rush. I think 9 Rush albums, and Mr. Mackey on the boards, and did the rest of the album with Jordan. Bought some new equipment to get ready for I guess we were going to try and do the competition again, and we just wanted to have new stuff because they pay you out in installments. Like we got our first $5,000, and then we spent that and got some wireless system. Went on tour with
Some hookers, some blow.
Kim Vincent from Down in Ashes, who's now in a band called the Red Rails.
Oh, the Red Rails, yeah, for
right.
sure. Yep.
And with Silver Gun and Spleen, who I think are looking at doing some more recordings soon, which is good. Did a little tour with them. We opened for like Trouble Charger one year at Hope, which you guys got into a little bit. Last week, we opened for Mother. Who else? We've played with a bunch of pretty great Canadian bands.
Okay, so here's a question, which is really bad because I'm in the band.
Yeah.
When did I come in? Like from the history that you're telling me, like I want to say, and then I joined the band, but I don't even know as far as the band based on the history of the band.
So here's what happened. Then,
Okay.
Right? So we're off our Big Money Shot.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
But I've told this story many a times where I just showed up at Mavericks, drunk off my ass, saying we should fucking jam. Here's the other side of the coin here.
So that's exactly what happened. So, so we're playing.
God damn it!
We're playing this show at Mavericks, and it's a fun little venue. We just got off the stage, and I'm a little bit of a turtle after shows. Like I like to take 10 minutes and just kind of like calm down and then walk out. I'm walking off the stage like right at the end of it, going to grab a beer, and Mike is right there, and he's like, "Yo, man," and I'm like, "Yo, hi, what's going on, man?" He's like, "Yo, we should jam," and I'm like, "You want to like Like you and I, you want to write something? He's like, no, man, like with hearts and minds. And I'm like, what? You're like, you want another guitarist? I'll be a guitarist. And I was like, yeah,
Jesus
that
Christ.
sounds like a pretty good idea. Let me talk to Jay about that. And so you like kind of like mosey off to the bar, order another Coors Light, and I go talk to Jay, and Jay's like, yeah, that sounds great. And then he pulls over the other two guys, and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, let's get it. And then you came out and jammed with us.
It was a Wednesday, yeah, and I almost bailed a couple times because I like sobered up, and I was just like, oh, maybe that was not what I want to do, or oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
I remember we had to kick it around a little bit. We're like, is Ohio coming out to jam with us or what?
Yeah. And then I eventually like grabbed my amp and I came to the jam spot, and you and I knew me and Jay had been friends from because he was the drummer of Our Mistake, and we had been friends forever, and we'd never lost any touch. You know what I mean? We were always tight. You know,
you
as
guys
buddies,
are best pals. Yeah.
I didn't know Mick at all. I knew you just from seeing you back in the Live Lounge days and whatnot, enough to go up to you and be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on?
But fucking Rob, man, when I showed up at that first band practice, I remember he was the first he was the last to show up, and we were talking like, hey man, I'll just what do you want me to do? I'll just play some shit. And he showed up and he was the coldest fish. He was just like, he came in with that scowl.
It was his band then now, right? Like he'd been with us for a little bit.
Yeah.
This was his band, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, I don't know about this.
But I immediately just got that weird, the whole room just went, and I was just like, okay, I'll just play. And it took me 2 or 3 months, I'm going to say, until Rob like turned around and was like, that sounded okay. Because the first fucking 2 or 3 months was just like, he'd look at me out of the corner of his eye. Like, it was just like, you don't even belong here, you fucking
impostor. Well, like he was used to Ryan, right?
And now me and Rob, I love Rob. I think he's a great dude. But from my point of view, from his point of view, fuck, it was tough at first.
Dude, like you were coming in after Ryan, who like the guy looks at a guitar and a symphony comes out of it. You know what I mean? It sounds like Trans-Siberian Orchestra, you know?
But Rob's disapproval at first, or maybe that's a bad word to use, but at first he
was hesitant.
Hesitance.
Yep.
Made me try harder to try and just be like, I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna go fucking, I'm not gonna write some crazy fucking Steve Vai shit. I'm just gonna play along and try to accompany the music and just try to fill it out. Maybe take some pressure off Matt, who's playing the guitar,
which you did.
Which that's the way that me and Rob first started in the band, growing our relationship, to which is now a good thing.
That's very good.
But at the beginning, it found my place in the band, so it was a good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because I know at first I didn't know what my place was. I didn't know what you wanted to do. But just that sideways stare when I would do something kind of set the path of like, oh, okay, I see what I'm doing here. So yeah. So I'm in the band now.
You are.
All right. And the first thing we did, we played Zaphods.
We took pictures. No, we didn't do that for a long time.
No, Christ. Don't even get me into that bullshit. The first thing we did was we played a Zaphod show.
Yep.
And then we went to Skylark Park. We did. Recorded the first part of the album we released just now, which was recorded like 3 years ago.
Yeah, because you were not on Panic at all, right?
Nothing.
Yeah.
But that's a great EP. And I still think that EP should be fucking toured the shit out of, because those 5 songs are incredible. But anyway, yeah. We went up to Skylark Park, but the second gig I ever played with you guys was fucking Blues Fest.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, this is probably a good thing.
Blues Fest was pretty awesome. That was a really good opportunity for us. I mean, it had been a year since we'd won all that money with the Big Money Shot. We had a pretty decent fan base that was pretty dedicated, that would come out to shows, which was awesome. And we had a lot of people out in the rain that day, and that was definitely a highlight for me. I know for Rob also, the two of us got to meet the Wu-Tang Clan.
The Wu-Tang. I have a different story from that night. Tell us more about that night for you, like that day for you.
Oh man, we had like a bunch of good friends come backstage with us, and did some trailer drinking, and so we went to go grab some food, and there's these like 2 dudes walking up to us, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's like RZA, and I'm pretty sure that's Method Man. And the guys are walking up, and the guy looks at me, and he's like, yo man, what do they got on for lunch over there? And I'm like, I don't know. It looks like looks like some quinoa. And she's like, shit, some fucking quinoa, man. These guys got fucking quinoa. Man, can you tell me where we get some fucking Chinese food up in this shit? And I was like, yo, so Preston Street is right there, and you're looking at like some of the best like Asian food you're gonna find.
Sure,
in Ottawa,
it's like
right?
Chinatown and
It's Chinatown
and fucking Little Italy on a intersection.
I sent them to Yangtze, you know, and they're like, "Shit, thanks, man." And we got a picture with them, and then they piled into like this Dodge Caravan that I don't know if they're renting or whatever, and they went and got some Chinese food. It was pretty good.
Here's my story of Blues Fest.
Yeah.
Super looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And I've been in a punk rock band for most of my music career as I do the bleep bleep, the fingers. I finally get this opportunity to play Blues Fest with my brand new band. Know the guys, don't know the guys, that type of thing. Played the show, big stage,
So much fun.
pouring rain, people. It was Blues Fest, whatever. As soon as I was done, fucking left. I did. I left.
You left?
I left. You know why? Because I had tickets to go see Paul McCartney at Scotiabank Place.
Yes, that is right.
Yeah.
You were so stoked
And
about
it's
that.
like, I want to stay and party and have a good time at Blues Fest, but I'm gonna go to see Paul McCartney.
gonna go see Paul
And I went
McCartney.
and I went from playing a really awesome gig at Blues Fest to fast forward maybe like an hour and a half. I was in like the 300 level side stage watching Paul McCartney play Blackbird for me, and I cried like a baby. Maybe
you
it was like,
referred to him as Sir Paul all day that day.
Maybe
you were
it
like,
was-
I'm going to see Sir Paul tonight.
maybe it was
Sir
like
Paul.
the whirlwind of the day. It was an emotional day, but when he played Blackbird and he just did it acoustically, I wept like a child.
In the dead of night.
Oh, it was just such a great day. I look back on that for both reasons: the Blues Fest day plus the Paul McCartney.
Oh.
I won't weigh the scale. I won't. They weren't.
You know what, man?
I'll
If I
say-
wasn't as good as Paul McCartney, I'm not going to be mad about it, you know?
Yeah, but I do remember one thing. Like I was touching on, like being from a punk band where you get to the gig and you drag your gear in, and
Yeah.
you drag your gear in, and then you fucking fumble around trying to find like where to go, or like in a small bar, and they're like, yeah, here's your beer ticket and shit. And that's what I've always known, right? And at the end of the gig, you fucking drag your gear out of the place. We showed up at Blues Fest that year, and we parked our car with the people like, blah, park over here.
Several cars.
We didn't even fucking touch our gear. There was like 7 or 8 people that came up and unloaded our car, brought it all backstage, set the shit up. I walked on stage from we had like this weird like air conditioned like trailer
It was
with our
beautiful.
name on the door. And this might be a big deal. This might be old hand for some people, but for guys like us, it was a fucking cool thing.
It was massive.
We had our name on the door. We were eating like fucking kiwi and shit. We walked to the stage when it was time to play, and some fucking guy, he's like, "Here's your guitar," and literally handed me my guitar. We played the show. I walked off the stage. I handed the guitar back to the same dude. Went back to the trailer and ate more kiwi. Like, what the fuck was going on there?
Yo, we finished our whole fruit plate, and they brought us another fruit plate.
And the buckets with the ice and the beer and
Oh.
shit. Oh man.
They were so good to us because we were really, really nice to them, though.
Yeah.
I don't think they were used to having people like be so gracious.
No,
and
that
so
was
happy.
sweet, man. It's like it's nice to be pampered a little bit, and I'm not
Feels
used to
good.
being pampered in that sense. So anyway, so that was my second gig with Hearts and Minds.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Should we play maybe a Hearts and Minds song?
Yeah, I would love to play Hearts and Minds.
Okay,
song.
it's your call, dude. What do you want to hear?
I think. I don't know. We're gonna edit this part right here, where I'm thinking. I hope anyway,
Maybe.
or not.
We'll see what your thinking turns into.
What's that one? Let's play. Not a Crime.
Not a Crime?
It's a good song.
All right. This is off our new Hearts and Minds
Album.
album.
Yeah.
It's off of Dark Season. This song is called Not a Crime. Sweet. This is Hearts and Minds.
We're so jaded.
So that was Not a Crime by Hearts and Minds off their brand new record that's out. It's called Dark Season. You can find that on Spotify. You can find it on Facebook. You guys know how to use the fucking internet. Just go and take a look.
These kids know.
So after the Blues Fest, Hearts and Minds just kept rolling, and I stayed with the band, and here we are now. Like, what the fuck's happening? We've done a lot in the last 4 years, though.
We really have. I mean, there was a little bit of a period of inactivity when it came to writing and recording, but we were playing shows like crazy. I mean, as a general rule, during the beginning, we tried to only play a show in Ottawa every 3 months, but we ramped it up quite a bit, and I think that helped us kind of solidify and grow as a band and come together. It really helped build the camaraderie with Mick and with you and of course with Rob in the very beginning, and get everybody, kind of tight and gelling.
Yeah, it's been a good ride, and I enjoy Hearts and Minds not only for the music, but I consider you guys like friends and family, so it's really great to see you guys. We don't see each other all the time because we hang out a little bit outside of the band, but not so much anymore because we're all getting older and we all have other things on the go. But when we do get together and we haven't seen each other for a bit, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's been a great few years for sure. So we just played around a bunch, and the occasional out of town gig, a couple interesting gigs at some fun different venues, and
the Mayo Fest, remember that?
Mayo Fest was pretty amazing. We played out of town in Mayo. It was a bit of a fun time. I hope we get to do it again. Jay and I have played we played some weird country farm gig one time for a family or something. It was real weird.
Okay.
We had to play covers. It was not fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Bunch of stuff.
We played some stuff in Vanier. One time you weren't even there. I was like you, where it was like me and Jay and Mick, and you couldn't make it, so I did all the vocals.
Yeah, it was Blarts and Blinds.
Yeah. I can't even remember what it was. Let's talk real quick about your you just built a studio in your basement.
I did, yeah. So my wife and I moved into a new place in 2015, and one of the main things we wanted to make sure that is we had room for a studio. I've been kind of recording some of my own music on the side, and I wanted to have a place to do that. But most importantly, I wanted to have a place that was bigger so that I could record everybody else, and we could save some money, and we can record ourselves. I could maybe branch out and record some other people and continue on with my little solo project. So for the first year, I worked out of this tiny little room while I built a studio around it.
And it's built now.
It's done.
It's done. And your little solo project you were talking about, that is Still Cities.
Still Cities.
Matt was he did a phoner on my other podcast called The Ohio and Hour Show, and he touched quite a bit on Still Cities. But if you wanted to, on Ego and Vice, talk about Still Cities.
Sure. Still Cities came out of songs in the very beginning that weren't really appropriate for Hearts and Minds. Like Hearts and Minds has its own sound and has its own voice, and some of the stuff that I was writing just didn't really fit in with it. I was really big into drum and bass and really influenced by electronic music. So I started experimenting and writing electronic music, and I got to the point where I had about 50 songs, a lot of them being drum and bass. But the last 10 that I had written, I really, really liked, and they're a little bit more on the EDM, house, kind of 80s synthy pop sounding. And so I put those together in an album and called it In the Quiet Hours, because that's when I recorded them very quietly in that tiny little room in my basement before it was the studio. In the quiet hours between 11 and 4 o'clock in the morning over the course of last winter. I was going through some tough personal times, and the music really helped me through it.
I think that's a good thing to do too. You could be in a band in Ottawa, and hopefully the people that listen to this are in bands. And if you have an established band and you still have something else to say, there's no shame in doing some sort of individual solo thing, or just taking the means that you have to record something, and just do your own thing. And that's what Still Cities is for you. Like you said, it was late at night. It was stuff that doesn't, because you write predominantly for Hearts and Minds when it comes to the music.
Yeah.
And you had other songs that yeah, whether we could have made them into Hearts and Minds songs or not, you still took them and just kind of did your own thing, and that must have been fulfilling in itself.
Oh, it totally was. And I mean, it was fun to mess with sounds that I remembered from my childhood. Like we were talking earlier, like I'm a huge fan of Phil Collins and Genesis, and they used a lot of Fairlight sounds, and I really love the sound of a Fairlight synth, and so I got to experiment with some of the sounds that, you know, like if it wasn't 2017, like these are machines back in the 80s that would have cost me tens of thousands of dollars, and now with new technology and stuff,
it's like an app.
Yeah, I can play. Yeah, basically, exactly. I can play these instruments as if I have a multi-million-dollar studio, you know, on a laptop or whatever you've got set up at your house, right?
Yeah.
So I got to experiment with some instruments that I never ever would have been able to touch, and came up with something that I was really proud of.
And you should be. I've listened to Still Cities many times, and it's like I said before, it's like great driving music, but it's also just great, like fucking turn your lights down, smoke a joint,
Yeah.
have a beer, and just get lost in it. Most of it's instrumental, but still, it's like you don't really need vocals sometimes just to get a point across, and I think that's what you've done there.
Yeah, I tried my best to speak through the instrumentation. I mean, there are a couple songs on there that are a little less synthy and a little bit more cinematic. And, you know, like I never thought that I was going to sit down and write a piece of music and have to write French horns for it. But on that album, there's a French horn piece in the mix on Coming Home a Different Man. I think I just called it A Different Man. But it's the piece of music that I'm most proud of, I think.
Cool. And where can we find that?
Man, you can find that on Spotify. It's Still Cities in the quiet hours. It's also on Apple Music and anywhere that you find your music.
So if you are a Hearts and Minds fan, if you are a Hearts and Minds fan, or you just you're curious of what's going on with the Still Cities, or you just know Matt, check out Still Cities and Hearts and Minds, and see all different realms of what's coming out of his brain, which is scary most times.
Sometimes.
All right, dude. Let's do our question period.
All right.
Are you ready? Okay, I just got to play my little question intro. Intro. Here it comes. Ready, go.
Questions and answers, honesty lies. Yes, no, you can't, but you can if you know why.
Shit, you must be fucking, man. Like, what's he talking about?
Any questions?
So that was my question period, or my question intro music, which I've said before. It took me 4.5 minutes to create, so enjoy that. But here we go. This is Random Questions with the one, the only, Matt Luloff.
All right.
I'm going to start off with just some like rapid fire stuff.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get into more of like the meat and potatoes of things.
Okay.
Okay. And I ask these questions to anyone that comes in and co-hosts on the Ego and Vice in the South Hood studio. So here we go.
Good. All right. So they'll be familiar then at least.
Questions, Matt Luloff. Biggest musical influence?
Right now, currently?
Sure.
Or just overall? Overall?
Yeah.
Oh, Phil Collins.
Dig deep.
Yeah, Phil Collins.
Okay.
Yeah. Or Matthew Good, I guess. Yeah.
Matt Good. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
you're a big Matt Good
Big fan.
Okay. Elaboration or next question?
Oh, we can just hit it.
Okay. First record that you bought with your own money?
With my own money. It would have to be Phil Collins' Face Value.
Jesus.
Yeah.
There's a trend happening here.
I was young. And
You went to the Record Runner, you went to the HMV, or what happened?
back then, I went to Sam the Record Man.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Next question is your guilty pleasure music.
Oh, man.
Shit that you don't like. You listen to, you jam. You're like, this is my jam. But,
I have so much guilty pleasure music.
okay.
Sky Ferreira is got to be one of them for sure.
Okay.
Big fan. I'm not even guilty about it. I used to be until he died, but now I'm not. But Prince, I Want to Be Your Lover. I do not have a very good falsetto, and I will sing that thing, and I will dance in the shower. Man, I Want to Be Your Lover is the best pop song ever
I don't
written.
know how guilty that is, because Eric last week, he's like, Duran Duran. And I'm like, what the fuck is so guilty about that?
You want to be, okay, so super guilty?
Yes.
Oh, God. I like,
Bleed on me.
I really like the new music coming out of Justin Bieber. I really do. I like it a lot. I love the beams, man. I'm sorry. Nobody knows that.
Have I ever told this
Except for my
story?
wife.
Can I tell this story
Yeah.
real quick? Justin Bieber
hit
song.
me, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was having this weird like chip on my shoulder period with music where it was like, fucking new music. I hate new music. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I can't remember because I've done a bunch of these things, but I'm scared. I told my girlfriend, I was at Brandy's house, and I'm like, I only like music that I can fucking relate to by people like my own age and shit. And that's the only music I'm going to listen to anymore. And for some strange reason, Dashboard Confessional, Chris Carrabba released like this EP.
He's coming to Ottawa, man.
Yeah, I'm not going to that shit though.
I'm thinking about it.
Anyway, and he what I didn't realize is that he released all these like acoustic songs, and there was this one song that was like acoustic wise, and it was like, my mama don't like you, but she likes everyone.
Yeah.
And I was saying to my girlfriend, I'm like, this is fucking good. This is like my music. And she kind of looked over at me and she's like, this is a Justin Bieber song. And I was like, no, fuck it. But we had a good laugh. Anybody, but that's a cool song.
I love the new Justin Bieber stuff, man. Like, what do you mean?
All right.
I want to know.
Fuck's sakes. Anyway. All right, the last rapid fire question.
Yeah.
Oh no, I have actually two more.
Hit me.
Your desert island record. If you got stranded on a desert island, you could pick one record.
Easy. Easy. The Black Rose by Thin Lizzy.
I was waiting until Thin Lizzy came
I
up,
would
yeah.
listen to the Black Rose every single day, all day, if I had to.
Because you're a massive Phil Lynott fan.
I'm a huge Phil Lynott fan. I love Thin Lizzy, and that is the record. Him, Gary Moore, Brian Robertson.
What is it? What is it about Thin Lizzy that just gets you?
It's those two guitars and the way that, like, the drummer is it's Irish rock, so there's like a galloping drums to it. You know what I mean? Like the Black Rose, like nothing sounds like that. Like da na 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 na. Like it's so like it's just wonderful. It's very rousing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I've
like
been to your
bagpipes,
house.
you know?
I've caroused your record collection, and I've seen a lot of Thin Lizzy.
There's I think every single Thin Lizzy record, isn't
There it is. All right. Two more questions.
Yep.
Really quick ones. What is your craziest show or tour story?
Well, craziest, I guess. We were touring in Toronto, and like I got a night out at the Lafayette with Mother that I think I'll just leave in the books. But there's one there. So we went down and we played this little club in Toronto, and then we were scheduled to record the next day at in Streetsville with at Isabella Street's house with this great producer out of Streetsville. He worked on Sky Sweetenham's albums, and he's played in Ill Scarlet, and just an absolute great guy, James Robertson. And Rob said that he would meet us there later, but he actually beat us there, and by the time that we got there, he'd already started a fight with one of the guys in Ill Scarlet. And so there's this big kerfuffle. It was kind of a big deal all night. We're like, Rob and this guy were going to fight, and we still had to record a song with him the next day. The beautiful thing about all of it is that we ended up playing with Ill Scarlet at Hope Beach Volleyball 3 years later, and the two of them hugged it out, and it was all good. But it was a pretty tense night.
That wasn't the same night that Rob ripped the door off the bus, was it?
That is the very same night.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, we'll move on.
That's a whole different other podcast.
That's a whole different Rob.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
If Hearts and Minds wasn't called Hearts and Minds, what was your second choice?
Oh, we had another name that we made just for our cover band, and we called ourselves Doppelganger.
Doppelganger.
Got Doppelganger.
All right, cool.
Yeah. But I don't know if we would. That's what Hearts and Minds would have been called. I don't know if I picked that today. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It had an umlaut on it. It was real metal.
All right. So that was your rapid fire.
Okay.
So now we're getting into a bit more meaty stuff.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. Matt Luloff.
Yep.
Do you believe that music is therapy?
Yes.
Okay. If you were a doctor, if it was like a doctor or a pill, how would you prescribe it to somebody?
Oh, I would prescribe music in full albums. Absolutely, without question. Full, complete albums.
Okay.
Yeah.
listen like to the whole composition, to the whole
I would
thing,
say listen to this record 3 times a day for 5 days, and you're going to be okay.
and call me in the morning.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Like someone was really depressed,
Mhm.
I would give them like the new Darcy's album, and I'd say listen to this 3 times a day all the way through. You can't be sad after you listen to Darcy's.
Cool. Well, doctors, they are like professionals in what they do to make people feel better.
Yeah.
You've been a musician for fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
So you feel that would be the...
I've never tried to put a record...
This will fix your ass.
Well, I wouldn't try and do like a record suppository, so I think that probably listening's your best bet.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Well, hard to follow that. Okay.
Yep.
The second question. If someone loves music and feels it's their only way to express themselves, but they can't sing or play an instrument, how could they use music to express themselves?
Oh man, there's so many different ways. If I was in that situation, I would probably become a DJ. You can. The greatest thing about music is that everybody else gets a feeling from something that you've written, and so if you want to express yourself, there are several musical memes out there that you can use. So I would say become a DJ, or do what I do with Still Cities, and if you can put notes together at least, you can make music on your own without even knowing how to play an instrument.
Cool. Very well said.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, the last one.
Yep.
If you had the choice to write only one song in your life, one song, one would make you rich and famous and go global.
Okay.
The other would only be heard by one person, but it would save their life. What song would you write?
Oh God, whose life though?
I don't know. It's up to you.
So is this guy gonna die then if I choose to be rich and famous? Is that like
take
what-
it for what it is.
That's not even fair. It's like, Matt, would you kill a man to be rich and famous? You could spin it around, you know? You know what? I don't know. I've always chased fame, but I don't know what it's like to be famous right now at all. I have no idea. I'd pick the guy.
You'd save the life?
Yeah, I'd save the guy or the girl or whoever it is.
Awesome.
And then maybe they'd write some music with me that we could go global with. Yo, man, that's a good way to start like a career, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Good
So
answer.
we could do a cover of How to Save a Life by that awful band.
Yeah, man. That I think that's very noble. I think it's awesome. Don't know if I believe it, but
Doked.
okay, cool. So Matt, let's talk about Hearts and Minds one more time. We have a show coming up this Friday. What's happening?
Cannot wait. We are playing at the Rainbow. This is the first show that's organized completely by Rob Hamlin, our bassist extraordinaire, taking his hand at promotion. And he has organized a show with Phantom Atlantic from Toronto. They're a great band. They were brought to our attention by a friend, Matt Jock. Great band. Looking forward to playing with them. And the Rebel Year from Ottawa. Can't wait to play with these guys. Mm-hmm. You've been listening to them. What do you think?
I think they're a great band.
Yeah, that's going to be a great show.
On that note, let's play a song from the Rebel Year.
We should also say that the Rainbow is the best venue, in my opinion, to play at. If I'm not playing at Targ, I'm playing at the Rainbow.
Well, the Rainbow's the big room downtown. I always call it the big room for some reason because
It is the big room.
we've always had a great response and a great feeling. Just it's cool being there.
Yeah.
They treat us well. We feel good there. The sound guy fucking makes us sound better than we actually are.
He does. I don't even know how he does it.
Yeah, the only thing is that we don't start until like 1 o'clock in the morning,
Wicked late.
and then I'm standing on the street corner by myself at like 2:45 in the morning waiting for my Uber.
Yo, man, just let me know next time. I'll just drive you home, yo.
Oh shit, I'll hold you to that.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to play a song by the Rebel Year. We're going to come back, and then we're going to wrap this motherfucker up. All right, this is the Rebel Year. This song is called Our Greatest Ending. It's from their 2017 self-titled EP. The band members are Chris, Dan, John, and Alex. You can check them out at the Rainbow Bistro with Hearts and Minds, with yours truly, and this truly here on Friday. So let's check that out. Like I said, the Rebel Year, Our
yeah.
Greatest Ending.
I cannot stand what we've become. Forget our words
So that was the Rebel Year. That was off their self-titled EP from 2017 called Our Greatest Ending. You can check out the Rebel Year. You can check out Hearts and Minds. What's the other band we're playing with?
Phantom Atlantic.
Phantom Atlantic. They're from Toronto. I don't have permission to play that song, so I'm not going to play it. But you should come out to that show and check it out. You can get a hold of me at egoandvice@gmail.com, or you can check out my website at egoandvice.com, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. If you want to be on the show, if you want your band showcased on the show, I'm totally willing to do that. I really want to thank my buddy Matt Luloff for coming out tonight. We had a good time.
We had a great time, man.
I hope you had a good time. Okay, cool, man. So this might be one part. This might be two parts. Probably going to be two-part because it's long as fuck. So I will see you next week. This is Ego and Vice. Later.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.